Carte de salt. She got a restraining order. Now I've got an obsession. I dated this girl for 3 years from the beginning of freshman year till now. We met in college and she fell for me then. Stayed over at my dorm room all the time, to the extent that her RAs from her dorm were worried that she disappeared. She literally lived in my room and we shared a bed. I took her virginity and we were each other's first serious relationship. I wasn't always good to her at the beginning of our relationship. I didn't know what I wanted from her at first, and to some extent led her on. For a while I thought I'd end the relationship, up until the point she practically lived with me and we depended on each other. I cheated on her twice, made out with 2 drunken girls. There were no feelings for them, and that was the end of it in totality. After that, I was totally faithful and I fell in love with her as well. I confessed to her about it a year later, although she always suspected, and she was very paranoid about me then. She no longer became paranoid after freshman year, but this is where she started to resent me for it. She tried getting over the resentment for most of our relationship. I tried my very hardest to make her happy after that. I loved her, and I worried for her. We both transferred to different schools after freshman year, but we continued having a long-distance relationship. We were 4 hours away from each other. At this point in time, I made my family totally take her in and accept her. Every time I was over, she was over, which was every other week. She depended on my family for a lot of things, and they were willing to give, knowing how poor and distant her family is, and how difficult her studies were. They had a lot of sympathy. She visited me at my school all the time, something that took her away from her academics a bit. She didn't have any family nearby. All of them were on the other coast. My family gave her total love and acceptance, and I always tried to do so as well. This was the state of our relationship for 2 years. I tried my very hardest to be the best boyfriend for her over the last 2 years, and second half of the first year. I visited her back in her state twice during the summers when she would go away. We had the kind of relationship where we would constantly write and text and call each other. Both my family and I really truly tried to give all our help to her. It was exhausting for me too, since I would visit her all the time, and I saw it as my duty to help her out of depression, something I never told her. We were truly in love and totally willing to fight. We had a connection, or so it seemed. About 2 months ago, we were talking about the resentment she had. She couldn't get over how I treated her in the beginning of the relationship, no matter how much love I gave her now. So I suggested that we take a break, and she was happy for it. Neither of us knew what that really meant. It was poorly communicated, and we very frequently went back on it for a month. Well, apparently there was a boy that's been flirting with her for a while. She told me about it months ago. I was never ever the jealous or paranoid type. I always thought that she loved me and that I had nothing to worry about. At some point over the last month, she gets in contact with me over this ambitious break we had, saying she no longer loves me. I was very happy with our relationship at this point. She knew all my friends, and they loved her too. She visited me for 3 days saying we should be friends, and that she's breaking it up. We've had many difficult parts of our long-distance relationship before, and me, still in love, decided to fight for her. She visited me, and I asked her if she ever cheated on me, or if she's with anyone right now, both of which she totally denied. She also confesses at this time that sex had become a chore for her because she felt so much pressure to keep me pleased. I have a higher sex drive, something she never even hinted at before in the past. I thought we made love every single time. I drove over to her apartment at night. She wasn't expecting me at all. I only wanted to talk to her. Visiting each other like this had precedent between us. What I saw was the very last thing on earth I expected to see. Through her window, I saw her with another guy, naked. Basically, I lost my shit. And now I'm being charged with malicious destruction of property, breaking and entering, and assault and battery against the guy. I'd broken through the window in the heat of the moment. I only broke in to talk to her, and because of the high emotions from the side I saw. But that became a physical altercation between me and him. The police were called out, and I was arrested, spent 3 nights in jail, and she put a no-contact restraining order out against me. There's going to be a hearing soon on whether to extend the temporary restraining order into one that lasts a year. She never signed out of her email or Facebook on my computer, and I've read her messages, totally wrong considering the restraining order. Apparently, she'd been unhappy in our relationship, and she hooked up with this guy before in the past, about a month ago. That's the exact moment she realized she no longer loved me. She felt very sad and guilty about it first, but she went to the guy to feel better about it, and not to me. Right afterwards is when we had our talk about her no longer loving me. I'm totally heartbroken and am at an absolute loss. I still care deeply for her. I still love her, but I feel so deceived and betrayed and utterly disposable. She never wanted to talk to me, and she hadn't even sent a thank you card to my family for taking her in so much, which makes me feel like she treats the last 2 years we gave her as disposable. I honestly felt like she cheated with me. Despite the relationship ambiguities, she was dishonest. To make it worse, she cheated on me emotionally. She's the one who approached the guy. I've had a week to think about it. I realized that if she were unhappy, I could have accepted her breaking up with me and being friends, but she never told me. I just had my heart broken, and at first I couldn't not take it personally. Now I just miss her as a friend and someone to talk to, despite her dishonesty. I really truly do miss her, and the no-contact restraining order is killing me on the inside. I wish I could tell her how I feel about her, that I don't take it personally, that I wish she didn't lie, and that I wish she hadn't cast me out of her life without a second thought, despite the seriousness of the altercation that happened. She's very happy now, if not a bit scared immediately after the incident, but honestly happy. She really likes the new guy and seems to not regret in the slightest breaking it off with me. It feels so cruel that I can't talk to her, and that she seemingly has no wish for it whatsoever. I think she's going to try and continue the restraining order for a year. I really do just miss her, and I know we need our space for anything. But it seems like us ever being on talking terms is not on the horizon, and it's killing me. These last few days, I've never felt lonelier in my life. She did a bad thing to me. In my heart, I know this. My family has been insanely stressed for me, since I'm facing felony charges. In all probability, there's little doubt I'll leave with any convictions, prison time, or anything besides an arrest on my record, though likely just a fine, because I've never had anything on my record, not even a speeding ticket, and I'm a good student at a top school. The courts tend to go easy for people who seem like productive members of society, especially students. I'm insanely nervous about what will become of us, however. I would be okay with just being friends. I have a lot of regret over how I handled the incident, because it meant sabotaging our relationship. But in all honesty, I have no idea how much she even valued that at the time anymore. And I was utterly shocked by what I saw. I've gone through a lot emotionally the past week. I really wish I could just talk to my ex who has a restraining order against me, to just tell her I want to communicate, be friends, and take it slow. I practically grew up with her. She was my first ever serious relationship, and it pains me how it ended. I've been logging on her Facebook to see how she's doing, several times a day. But she doesn't use it that much. Same with her email. She had blocked me on Facebook. I hope people read this and leave a comment. I don't know how to digest this, and I've been feeling pretty lonely. Thanks, everyone. That's my story. If you like listening to stories read by an actual person, look no further. That's right. I will never utilize an AI voice to tell these stories. Please support this channel by hitting like and subscribing. Yours truly, Verrückte Soul.